We're going to now go to our next round of speakers. The first I'd like to introduce is Dr. Nike Folayan. Very, very, very esteemed speaker for you today. Dr. Nike is a chartered electronics engineer with a doctorate in electronics engineering. She's currently a technical director and the technical discipline leader for communications and control within WSP, an engineering consultancy, where she leads a team of telecommunications engineers in the UK and India, working on a variety of projects within the transport industry, including railways and highway projects in the UK, Australia, South America, the Middle East, and Africa. Please, can we have a round of applause for Dr. Nike?
Thank you very much. I think I've got slides, haven't I? How is everybody? Is anyone sleeping at the back? How is everybody? Okay, so I'm going to do this really quickly. I've had such a fabulous morning just listening to Mark, Hannah, and Jack, and I just kind of feel like whatever I have to say kind of, okay, just adds on, hopefully adds on to what they've already said. So my name is Nike, spelled N-I-K-E, and I had the name before the brand became known, so I should be paid royalties, but hey, this is life. So I am the chair of AFBE, an organization that started when diversity wasn't so sexy, back in 2007, and that was partly because Tony Blair had an article saying that black culture is responsible for crime. And at that point, I thought, well, maybe I should have been a gangster, so this engineering thing, I should probably put it on the side because that's what my culture is about. So I and my brother Ollie came together and we thought, let's make a difference, let's change the stereotype, and that's how AFB started. First meeting, we sent an email out to 50 people. Everyone said, yeah, this is a good idea. On the day, 3 other people turn up, so there's 5 people at this meeting. So that's the first point. We think, well, should we carry on? But we did, and now AFB has 2,500 members, and since George Floyd, we've had so many more partners. We have about 60 corporate partners, and as Ollie would say, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, you can join us if you understand our mission. Now, the landscape of engineering is one that a lot of people talk about, and I know that George mentioned the statistics for black and minority ethnic or GEM people in the industry, but I don't know if you were listening. So at this point, I'm going to test you. What's a percentage of people of black and minority ethnic backgrounds in engineering? Can anyone give me an answer? 9%. Okay, 9%. Well done, well done. You were listening to George. So I'm going to ask you a more tricky question. What's the percentage of black and ethnic minority women within engineering? Guesses now. 2. Wow, you're good. That's close. That's close. Any other? 1? That's actually the case. It's 1.05%. And many times when you ask me, I probably know most of them. So that just gives you an idea of, and that's ethnic minority women, so I probably know all the black women. Honestly, I probably know all of them. And this is what AFB does. We're a network that brings together all sorts of things. We're about partnerships in the community with businesses. We're about networks. We're about education. We're about innovation. We're about excellence. These are the programs we run. We have one for school-age kids we call Making Engineering Hot, because we wanted to call it Making Engineering Sexy, but we thought, well, that might be difficult when you go into school and you say you're doing something sexy for young people, so we changed it to Making Engineering Hot. And that program has reached over 6,000 young people across England. And there's Next Gen, which is about young people in Scotland, and that's also reached about 3,000, 4,000 young people in Scotland and across the world. We have Transition, which is about helping students to enter work by giving them a day of mock assessments and so on, and also educating businesses that when a young person doesn't look you in the eye, doesn't mean they're dodgy. They probably come from the same background as me, where if I look my mum in the eye, that was a problem. So understanding those nuances of particular communities is really important. We have other things like Roundtable. Chess Club is not about chess, it's about being strategic with your career. And we have programs about leadership, because can anyone guess the number of leaders from ethnic minority, the percentage of leadership positions from ethnic minority people in the UK in engineering? Another guess on percentages? You know the answer. You can't. Anybody else? Sorry? 0.3. That's actually quite good, because 0.3 is actually a number of black people on board level positions in the top engineering companies in the UK, and the overall number is 2.3% when you include other ethnicities. So we have an issue there, and what AFB is trying to do is trying to make sure that this doesn't carry on. This is just a show off of the things that we've been doing. But what I want to quickly talk to you about today is George Floyd. So George Floyd happened, and I saw all sorts of things happening. Companies, black squares, companies saying, we support you, companies saying, how are you? Are you okay? Have you seen the video? And then 2 years on, nothing happens. So back in 2020, AFBE said, you know, we don't want to just talk about this, we want to put an action plan together that companies can follow. And this is available online, and you can download it. And the idea for us was for people to have some clear steps that they can take towards improvement of diversity within their workplace. We called it the Access A. A stands for accepting racial disparities. So knowing those percentages, really, really important, because you can't do anything about something that you don't understand. And then educating yourself. I know people don't like to be told to educate yourself, but don't come and ask me what's happening when there's so much resource now online and in other places that can help you to understand the experiences of people of diverse backgrounds. Have a strategy. What's your strategy? You know, don't just have talking shops. Have a strategy. Have safe spaces. And safe spaces means sometimes allowing people to just be. Allowing people to just be. And sometimes it's difficult in organizations when every organization thinks because you're a black person, you want to talk about ethnicity, you want to talk about inclusion. Maybe not. Maybe you don't want to talk about it. Maybe you're fine. Maybe you just want to have a silent lunch and just be on your own. So creating safe spaces doesn't only mean allowing people to share their experiences. Sometimes it's about allowing them just to be. And finally, being accountable. So these are just slides that kind of highlight that accepting racial parity, the issues around this, understanding what's happening in your organization, baselining, what's the landscape, how many people of ethnic minority backgrounds are in your organization, how many have left, why have they left. Understanding that, educating yourself, we already talked about, educating yourself internally, what's going on, but also having books, literature, all sorts of things available that you can, and there's a fantastic someone that's going to come up later, and if you haven't got her book, that's a good point to start educating yourself. And then having a plan, having a conscious inclusion plan. So not just saying this is our strategy, but having a plan of what you want to do, creating those safe spaces, creating those spaces where people can talk, creating those places where people don't want to talk. And this is just a show-off slide. And being accountable. I didn't talk about being accountable. Being accountable is really important. It's the most important thing. And being accountable means investing in diversity. The number of times that organizations come and say, oh, you know about diversity, come and talk about it. But you don't want to invest in a person. You don't want to invest in a person's time that they've taken to talk about it. You don't want to invest in a person's time that they've taken to understand how to support. That's really important. Value diversity as you value engineering. Value inclusion as you value technology. And that's when we start to make a change. Thank you.